Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on leechess.org and I'm going to play a 15-2 game. And I already have something to think about. I'm not used to seeing knight c3 on move 1. How to reply? I guess we'll just put a pawn in the center. What made me think about d4 over anything else is that if it turns into a d4-like game, White won't be playing with their c-pawn anytime soon. So this could quickly transpose, I guess, into a French on e6, d4. That's what we would have. I could also go towards knight f6 and reply with d4. Knight f6, e5 can be met with d4. So what path to choose? Let's see. So these are my two candidate moves. I'm not really considering capturing. I guess we're going to go for e6. This knight f6, e5, and d4 line can trade a lot and will quickly, or it is possible to quickly arrive at an endgame. Queenless endgame. So let's see what my opponent comes up with. Okay, so g3. Alright, well, there's going to be some pressure bearing down on my queen side soon. How great of an inconvenience will that really be? I think I do well to still keep this tension. Maybe simply knight f6 here. Yeah, let's put my knight on f6. He can be kicked, of course, but I'll be going for this sort of plan if that happens. Alright, white is not budging. What to do here? Bishop e7, just hold off on the tension. Hold off on this. Something else. Maybe c5 and knight c6 and not yet declare my bishop. I feel like a computer. I don't know how helpful this is, but I feel like a computer would just play bishop to e7. Or, no, hold on. You know what else a computer might do? d4. d4 with maybe d3? Now that the bishop isn't here? I wonder if that's something I could do. d4, knight e2, d3, pawn takes, queen takes. I think my queen will be flushed out of there, though, with knight f4, and then white will be able to get in d4 and have a strong pawn center. So in the end, the result is my d-pawn exchanged for the c-pawn, and then white has a majority. It'd be a different story if I could maintain a piece here and make life difficult for white to expand with the d-pawn, but I don't see that happening. Okay, I'm going to start off with bishop to e7. Who is this player? Do they have? Yeah, they've been around for a while. Many different categories. Okay. So what are some candidate moves for white? d3 takes, maybe push, maybe f4? Although on f4 I think white would want to be in a position to meet pawn takes with pawn takes and maintain some type of duo. If the f-pawn is rolling and is on f4 and I could eliminate the e4 pawn, I think this move loses some sting. If I could break up potential pawn duos and f-pawn, f4, e4 duo. So I would expect something like d3 before f4 if that's even an idea for white. It seems pretty standard. Of course, you could go with d4. This will allow me to bite at something. If white is trying to go after my throat on the king side, trying to attack me. I think D3 is like it's more modest looking, but it looks to simply reinforce the strong E4 point, and then maybe slowly expand. One day my knight position can be brought into question. So here we go with the D3. So I mean, this is turning into a King's Indian attack like formation. Normally the knight is on D2, not C3. So what I could try to do here is figure out some of the differences between these two posts. For one, I could play D4 with a strike. I wouldn't get that if the knight is on D2. I'm sure there's more differences, but yeah, just a quick note. If I want to change the structure slightly, close it up, I could get that in with a punch. I think in nearly all situations I want my c-pawn contributing. So let's get him involved. I think I could just do that straight away. I'm a little bit concerned. C5 takes, bishop here, trying to undermine my point here, but I could always move him if white's going to give up the bishop pair. Let's get my c-pawn rolling. There's some delay with this king-knight, so I have some concern, like if I needed to reinforce a d5 point, maybe this is a maneuver into f4, one way or the other. I would expect one of these two moves. I think this is more universal. It stays out of any of the white pawns from e2. Frees up a quick f4 on h3. This will often be a desirable move for white. h3, once you fiend Keto, castles, this is the flight square. Nice little home on h2. So I would expect this. Okay, now they're going straight for pressure on my knight. So this is already threatening some stuff. Namely to capture, and after I take here, to take on this square. But I don't believe that is actually a threat, come to think of it, because if my bishop is here, I could always look to, let's say, eliminate the knight or grab this super valuable heart of white's queenside structure, the b2 pawn. So I think I still do well to keep this tension, not push, not capture, just hold my ground on my best pawn, I would say. My fourth rank pawn in the center, d5. And maybe I could just go with castles here. Castles, or maybe knight to c6. Am I going to go queenside castles? I don't think I'll be castling queenside. I'm okay with now committing my king. I'll go kingside now. I'll show my hand. So I don't think that this would be a good choice. I'm already castled. White is not. They're not banking any material with this. Chop, 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 chop. On bishop takes, that would be just a flat-out loss. I'd take the knight with check, the only defender, and then scoop up the bishop. If the other order is captures, bishop takes, and then knight takes, I have, at minimum, bishop takes b2. The rook has to move, and also I could look for a rook to e8 move. Don't know how much of an inconvenience that would be. It would develop and block and be quick to get out of the pin, but I think I'm fine with the opening up of the position. I haven't worked out all the details, but I think I'll at minimum be able to keep the material balanced. So what is white chewing on here? At a later stage, this could be a threat, so I mean, I think it's fine right now at this present moment, but a move or two down the line, I'm going to have to question these capturing sequences on d5 with every move. How are things changing once the knight is deployed here? Would white then be threatening this? I should probably be working on those details right now. What would I do on this pretty natural-looking knight to e2 move? And there we go. And I think I could, I feel like I could still hold ground on this capture. Let's see, knight c6, pawn takes, bishop takes knight. I even have other options, come to think of it. You know what I do have? On knight c6, I'm just going to play it without much calculation this time around. Another option I have, I'm just realizing, is that on... maybe I did miscalculate there. There might have been an option to capture. I was thinking for a moment on takes, I could take with the knight, and then I'm on the bishop, and on bishop takes bishop, I can recapture like this, if anything. Alright, so... do I still hold off on this? I think maybe white is close now to winning a pawn right around this point with takes, bishop takes, and then bishop takes pawn. The difference now is that when I take here, white can replace the defender of d5. And I don't have any ways to show, let's say, compensation with bishop h3 stopping castling now. White's, of course, already castled. So I'm wondering about d4 here. I think this knight will find it a bit awkward, come to think of it. He's going to have to go home. I'll grab a little space and maybe look to change the structure further. Yeah, I'm actually leaning towards this. I think with the bishop out and about, the likelihood that a dark square bishop exchange is to occur is, it's there. And if I start to position pawns on dark squares, this is my bad bishop, so that would be a desirable exchange. d4 here, e5, and then maybe a knight move. These guys are exchanged. There's a lot to weigh, of course. This is a big decision. d4. White will be heading on the king side. I will have this square. I could try to get in there. White will have to play h4, but I think this is going to turn out to be a race position if I go in for d4. I don't think that this move helps me. Takes, pawn takes, and I mean I could consider that, but let's make it maybe a bit more of a strategic battle. Let's go in for d4. Maybe try to highlight one of the downsides with the knight deployment to c3 instead of d2. It's like a free move, and I acquire a little bit of space. I got a pawn in white's house. I don't think there's many other options. This would run into moves that I would like to play. Knight b5. I want to expand on the queen side, so if I could continue to expand on the queen side with little jabs, I'm all for that. So knight here, e5 is what I'm thinking. e5 if f4, that's probably already a loss because of knight g4, dark square bishop exchange, and what are you doing about a knight arriving on e3? He basically morphs into a rook when he's on e3. He's probably worth more than a rook if he gets to e3. So before any f4 move, white will have to insert h3 to stop this maneuver. And in the meantime, here, if the knight goes here real quick, I mean, this is a pretty standard maneuver. I'm surprised that white is thinking so much on this move here. Is there some computer-like move with knight a4 preparing to take, and then take here? I feel like a computer would be like, there's no way I'm moving backwards. I'm moving forwards and threatening stuff. Okay, here we go. Isn't white actually just lost, though? I mean, what's the plan here? Because I don't have to take with the bishop. Doesn't b5 just win the knight? After all this, Am I just going to be winning some material? How deep is this line here? I don't get it. It's true when I play B5, my knight's unprotected, and I'll have to be concerned about that move, but I could meet E5 with knight here. I don't see it. What's the story here? Well, how many squares does the knight have when he's on the edge? At most 4. He's not going to these two. He's not going here. So this is the only sensitive point, really. B5? How can white try to complicate? This doesn't seem to do it. I go here, trying to take advantage of some other pin I could always take. I don't know. I think the complications would just always work out in my favor. I'm always the one to initiate the captures. B5. Bishop takes knight. Pawn takes bishop. And from that position, if this advance comes in, I could always play bishop B7 at that point, or bishop to D7, queen to C7. B5, E5 here. Bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop, and my knight is defended. And this knight is still under fire. My king would be compromised a bit, not having this g-pawn around, but where is there a single attacker near my king's side? I'd have to watch out for this, but that's many moves, and I only need 2 to really cover the critical squares. I don't get it. I think that this is just a blunder. What am I missing? Okay, well, I think maybe white, I don't know, I'm just going to do it. Spent enough time on it. Maybe white was thinking that on takes, I have to take with the bishop. And that way there would then be E5. That's the only thing I could come up with. Maybe, unless I'm still missing something, but if I had to guess, I would think that white miscalculated that there's takes and assumed that I would take with the bishop. No, but that wouldn't even be right, because I would just be dropping a pawn. Takes, takes here, double attack against my f6 and c6 points. So they're back into a think here. We're only 9 moves in. I spent more than 10 minutes on the 9 moves. It's pretty typical for me. I always have to work my way through the opening blind, it seems. So, well, let's see if how white is going to try to complicate. That's what I'm waiting for right around this point. Is king safety going to be an issue for me at all? Let's see if what kind of stuff white tries to inject into this position. Okay, so they're going for that, but oh, wait a second. What am I talking about? On this bishop takes, if I take like this, there's knight takes here. Okay, so knight here, bishop takes bishop, I take with the queen and defend here. Okay, well, I believe I have to play knight to d5 here. Yeah, that was silly, thinking that I could do this and defend here. I still need to cover c5, and I can. On here, knight takes, I could take the bishop. I think I'd just do this. I mean, I would have played that pretty fast if it was a bullet game. I think that's just the right thing to do. And yeah, let's recapture, and now we got this. Okay. Oh. So that's how this is working. I'm not winning any material. Okay. Interesting. There is that, and if I take like this, the knight recaptures. So actually, I'm just like losing here or something now. After all that. After all that, in the end, I'm going to be losing, and my time situation is horrible. Okay. Alright, so takes the knight recaptures. And, yeah, I feel like I'm in trouble then. Takes, both of these points are hit. Takes here, pawn takes bishop. If I take here first, pawn takes pawn. Then my knight has to move here, he gets kicked away, and then I'm losing c6. Alright, my choices are super limited now. I don't think that this is a good line, me initiating these captures. I end up in some pin. Maybe I could get that e5 pawn. I feel like maybe I should try to hang on to this d4 point. Pawn takes knight, pawn takes knight. Pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes pawn. And then bishop here. Maybe I have some compensation one day. I'm gonna go in for this. Try to hang on to my d4 point. Yep. Gonna take here. He's probably gonna be struck at soon. So maybe if I come out down a pawn at some stage, I could hope for maybe a light square bishop exchange and work with something in here. The weakened f3 and h3 squares. I must say that that sequence right there pretty much rattled me some emotionally, because I was thinking I'm going to be up material, and yeah, it's just not the case. So I'm going to be down material very soon. I may have to try for knight b4, which might not be so bad. This will strike at d3. I think I made the right decision in these complications, at least that last sequence, to hang on to my d4 point. And now try to aim towards some attack. This is something long-term, but something involving these light squares once these guys are off. I have the cozier home. Maybe I could even pick up this pawn. That's what I'm threatening right now. Yeah, so that's nice. If queen takes pawn, I could take here. There's another avenue to attack d3. Can maybe even look into a3, but a3, maybe white just takes and denies me the b4 square. It's an interesting position. Probably just f4 here is best. What would I do on that? f4. On f4, I could, well, that weakens this square, so I was saying earlier about a knight drifting in here. Well, there's multiple squares that can get to e3, so on f4 that weakens e3. I could look into this. Light square bishop exchange, focusing on f3, h3, and maybe circle my knight into the e3 square. If there's a pawn on f4, it guards this pawn, but it makes this knight not so great. It takes away one of the best squares from the knight. This pawn controls these two squares. Well, this structure controls c3 and d4, so they're going with queen takes pawn. So should I just should probably pick up the pawn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm down a pawn. Win the pawn back. And yeah, welcome a light square bishop exchange. That can't be so bad. And bishop takes bishop, queen takes. This is going to be really tough to deal with now. I mean, my knight is already eyeing up these squares. And this is, well, I think white is in a tough spot. I'm in a tough spot time-wise. Got the 2-second increment. But, yeah, positionally, I think that this is good for me. Maybe knight f4 right now. Yeah, knight f4. I was going to say it again. I feel like a computer would play knight to f4. You know, not helping my queen to get on this diagonal to eye up at the weak squares. It makes sense. You know, I won't have time. Knight f4, bishop, knight f4, bishop takes, bishop, knight takes. I don't have time to go here, here. The knight would be striking at my queen. Let's say knight f4, bishop takes, knight takes, maybe first queen here. I'm on the knight and still the pawn. And I still have the f3 square at a later stage. I don't believe that the knight could be maintained on d5. I can always challenge him further. Okay, knight f4 it is. Okie dokie. Is there anything fancy going on when the knight's on d5? Probably. He's within checking distance, so to watch out for some fancy check on e7. I don't have a lot of time. I should probably just take the bishop and play queen to d6. That's what I'm going to do. Knight check here, king g2. Don't see what the follow-up is. Let's take the bishop and then get on with my reaction move. Queen d6. Please don't fork me. Don't do it. Queen here, queen takes, knight here. But I have my knight. He's a good guy too. He's in my house though. I don't like that. Look at this. Wow. So I could win a pawn now, right? Material is balanced, and that's a super weakening move, no? Scoop up the knight, scoop up a pawn, and everybody's happy. I don't have the healthiest of pawns, but I kind of have to just go into bullet mode right around here. Have anything better? Well, what's wrong with just taking this pawn? Hang on, hang on. What's keeping me from just scooping up this pawn and saying, why not take your knight one move later? Or going in here, keeping my knight, and then just trying to kill you. Isn't this knight just trapped? Isn't the knight just trapped? If I go here, there's queen here. Fanciness. Let's take the knight. So fancy. And, okay, I guess we're just going to, I'm going to go here. I want to keep my queen central. If I took the pawn with the queen, there's just going to be some tempo. So there's one attacker, 0 defenders. Now there's 2 attackers, 0 defenders. He's not going anywhere, I don't think. It's true he could be captured, but shouldn't White be a little bit concerned about this kind of stuff? Notice I went with that rook because I want to keep f7 defended. They're just going straight in for this stuff. Are they trying to burn my time? Yeah, I guess so. I only have 5 seconds. They have 2 connected passers. I really don't know how to assess this. They're going to scoop up my c5 pawn. Let's give this check. I'm going to need a flight square soon, huh? Let's get a time gainer in there. How about? Alright, I'm done with the time gainers. Let's get a flight square, and I would have gone here if the queen wasn't defending, so I could maybe get to g2. Completely balanced now. I don't know if I could afford a queen exchange. I'm a little bit hesitant to move my f-rook because my opponent will put pressure on that really soon. I'm going to need to get my rook playing, though. Yeah. Let's give this check for starters. And just back up. Yeah. It's kind of tricky. I have the safer king. So, well, now that there's not as much pressure on f7, let's get my rook playing, huh? Queen here at least throws a punch. Should look to still push him a little bit more. Open up this diagonal towards their king. Have both diagonals opened up towards their king for some checks. I could look to defend f7 laterally now. My queen defends this diagonal in case my king is flushed off of this 8th rank, so I like that. Let's push. I am on this now. They're just going to keep pushing. The rook is unprotected, so pawn push, queen a4 is something. Yeah, how would they defend that position if they push the pawn? Just going there, huh? Let's go to a protected square. Also, maybe this is a move, right? I feel like this should be winning. Check, and then maybe here. Okay, that's a check. They're going for that. I gotta go really simple now. I'm gonna take one of the two connected passers and try to win 3 versus 2. Well, also just I have to look at this a little bit different, right? Because my time situation. Now they're going to get behind the pawn, but they're going to be a long ways off from getting that pawn rolling. Their rook is immobile, and mine is not. Mine's not. Get my king playing, and we're just going to go maybe here. Yeah. I don't want to go too far. I don't want to allow that pawn to just keep pushing. I don't want to allow the king to approach my rook with tempo so easily, let's say. I want him to have to work before my rook has to budge again. That just helps me create 2 connected pass pawns now. Yeah, so this is now definitely winning. I know how to win this. Even with a handful of seconds, well, I got that increment. So this is already close to worth of rook once they're here. And white is just a mile away from really posing any danger. I guess we'll go with this one. I'm close to, now I'll come all the way back. Now that the rook isn't behind, so it's pretty straightforward here. Keep pushing my connected passers. Yeah, they just resigned. Wow. As mentioned, a bit of a roller coaster. Emotionally at that middle game position when I was thinking I was winning material, and then what did I have to do? I had to adjust. I thought I was going to be down a pawn, and then turned up a pawn. Had that weird imbalance. 2 connected passers, but they were so far back in that endgame. I had a pass pawn, a single guy. They had a more exposed king. So I'm just throwing that out there. These are some of the things that some of the characteristics of the position that helps me determine who's maybe better. So maybe before I just dive in, well, no, I think I'm okay with just jumping right in here. Yeah, this'll be a good one to go over. I think I made the correct decision here. I don't think that white worked out all these details, because there's many different variations, and it seemed like this was played. It wasn't played right away, but I don't know. There's a lot to consider there. I don't know why I was thinking, oh, I just take here, and then I'm still on this. I was forgetting when I take here, I'm not controlling that, and the knight just goes here. I think I'm in trouble if I do that. Capture en passant here, and then now there's some serious pressure against my diagonal. I think I'll be losing some material there if I would have captured. So, okay, well, let me dive into the analysis here. And there is, yeah, it's been so long since I played a 15-minute game on Lichess that there's a new, well, here's the graph. Rocky road. But I guess I was always okay. Well, the move it didn't like is the one that I thought it was going to be like winning material. It wasn't a fan of B5. After knight to A4, it likes something else. Let me turn the computer off and make use of this fairly new feature, learn from your mistakes. I haven't really looked at this much. But, so I guess this is the story with it. Learn from my mistakes. Apparently it considers three position types, or 3 of my moves to be mistakes. So that would be some, I guess the mistakes are determined, the term mistake is determined by the fluctuation in the evaluation. So if it shifts, I don't know what the exact number is, but maybe if it shifts about 100, well, let's say by 1 pawn or a single point, maybe they consider that a mistake. I'm not sure what the threshold is for that. But anyhow, they go back to this position here, so I don't really have to go through the beginning of the game. I'm gonna just make use of this little feature, learn from your mistakes. And this is the first one it's covering. So b5 was played. Find a better move for black. All right, so I'm going to devote just a little bit of time, maybe a minute, to trying to come up with something else here. Because, yeah, apparently b5 is a mistake there. So what is something better? If I could do this over again, knowing that white has a way forward. I'm thinking maybe knight to d7, welcoming a dark square bishop exchange, getting out of e5 with tempo. Knight here, bishop takes, queen takes, and then maybe I'm threatening this move. I wonder if knight d7 is a better move for black. I think it is. Yeah, I'm going to say, and there's many different moves that you could play, but let's just see if they consider that. Okay. I guess that's one of many different ways to improve. It could be the case that that was the only improvement, but I don't think that's the position type we're looking at, where it's an only move type position. For example, I think I could have played, let's say, rook to b8, but it allows for bishop takes knight, and I'd have to ruin my structure if I still want to defend c5, so knight to d7, they consider that a good move. Evaluation-wise, what is it saying? I'll have a look at that in a little bit, but let's just go on to the next mistake, mistake 2 of 3. And yeah, okay, so, well, what also factored into this position was my time. I felt that there would have been something different here. I wanted to do this. Well, you know what I know what they're gonna say. They're gonna say, just grab material, you idiot. That's what the computer's gonna say. Just take d3, you clown. What's the matter with you? Who cares if the queen goes here and has some fancy way to get her and get the queen back? It's just gonna say take d3. Okay. Yeah, I should have captured d3. Yeah, I really wanted to get this in, knight g4 into here. Yeah, because that knight is still stuck. In fact, after knight takes pawn, queen c6, I could play queen d8. Queen takes queen, rook takes queen. The knight is under fire. The knight is running really short on squares. He would have to go to check, king f8, and the knight runs away. I'm playing this position where I'm up a pawn, and yeah. Okay, so I should have just pulled the trigger on knight takes pawn there. That's a simple correction. And I guess we'll just have a look at the third mistake. Ooh, apparently this is already a negative 7.2 position with rook here. So it's something other than moving my rook here. Probably to e8 or c8 is my improvement. I don't have any good checks. Right now, queen takes, rook is there. I guess rook here is what they would suggest. Why am I leaning more towards c8 over e8? Maybe both are still good. But, yeah, I guess to have the seventh or the second rank square in mind, I don't get that when the rook is on e8. c8 I'm looking to get straight in here, so I think the improvement would be rook to c8. I'm just going to put it on, yeah, they consider that a good move. Okay, well, those are the three, what does it say? Done reviewing black mistakes, do it again, review the white mistakes. All right, I'm not going to go in that direction, but yeah, that's pretty neat that you could look from both players' perspectives. What more to go through? I just want to kind of skim. Let's clear that out. Just want to skim. I think this is a good thing to have, by the way. I don't know if I had it running on previous videos, but in your settings you could have it to show 2 lines. I think it's good to have 2 lines here for those when you're reviewing, to have when there's a position type where there's an only move, having 2 lines here will tell you if there's an only move present in the position. If, well, we might even arrive at, we'll probably see that in action as I'm going through this. But is it a fan of d4? Yeah, right here it's a fan of that decision, and this is a big decision. Not like critical for me, I have to find that move, but it cuts the board in half. It takes the game in a much different direction. And yeah, that's what I thought. Knight to b1 would have been better. I guess going here, I mean, close to the same, but there's far more to calculate here because he is really short on squares. But getting back to the evaluation thing, you'll see sometimes it'll say, like, for example, is white maybe close to making an only move here? Oh my goodness, I have another decision. I could go here. Okay, so right here, here's an example. This is pretty much an only move. When you see one line, this is the best line, the top line. -0.2, still tiny advantage for black. And the next one is -1.9. You know that white pretty much has to go with this move. So that's why it's nice to have 2 lines running. You could go for more lines, but I like just keeping it at 2. So c4 was in fact played. Did I make the correct decision here? Okay, maybe it would change, but it apparently likes this. Well, they're pretty equal, huh? I wanted to keep this pawn around, my furthest advanced pawn, so I want that. They chop there. I got a recapture. Knight f4. Interesting. That would have been an improvement. Maybe, I don't know if this would show up in the list of white mistakes. Taking on this square, maybe the improvement is knight to f4. So bishop takes, and yeah, I'm still holding an advantage here. And now it's pretty much winning. Yeah, -2.4. Knight there, takes here. And after f4, there's no good square here for the knight. Best is the suggested knight takes pawn here. I just took, and that's just holding half pawn, maybe a pawn advantage for me. But it's just not clear. They have a more vulnerable king, but just 2 minor pieces or 2 major pieces around some defense. Still holding an advantage, but not decisive. Yeah, let me just look at this last position really. Just take the pawn, and yeah, it does want to go with this queen c6. And yeah, I mean, if I do this, there's a check, and my king would have to go in the corner. That said, that's why, I mean, I didn't point this out, but that's why I would want to play at this point rook here. This now pretty much forces queen takes queen. I am on the knight, and there's just no squares. He's in the center, but the backward moves are taken away. The forward moves, they're no good at this very moment, so white has to go with this. And now on the check, at least, I can move in the direction I would like to go, because it is the endgame, and that is towards the center. But anyhow, yeah, I should have just picked up a pawn. Take the pawn on d3 and still be on the knight. I took the knight, and where did it turn losing for team white? I was doing a couple time gainers. I don't use that tactic nearly as much as the time burners, but we are playing with increment. And yeah, I get my pawn rolling. And I guess that's the game loser. This is probably good as well, but not as good as looking to get here. Two pigs on the second, and some possibilities to maybe pick up this loose piece on d1. What would I do on queen to f2? It's already... Yeah, I could just still jump right in there. Yeah, queen here, rook to c2. And here, you know what, here's another thing. Even in some variation, even if I lose my f2 point, it's not the end of the world. I can always scoot up here. Yeah, so this combined with white having a vulnerable king is an issue, isn't it? What's the story if, let's say, the queen goes here? I could give checks. Check there. Oh, look at that. Nice. What's the story here? I wasn't going to be coming up with this exact variation. What's the key idea? Doing a little step ladder. Ah, that's pretty swift. I like that little maneuver. Right? First provoke h3. Now this is weakened, and then we have this little zigzag to the point where I could scoop up g3. And then once you're on g3, there's not going to be a defense here. It's already suggesting this kind of stuff. That's a cool little maneuver right at the end there. But yeah, I just went with whatever was instinctual for me. Keeping my rook behind the pawn with rook to d4 and cutting off the queen, which is still, okay, a tiny bit better for me, but not decisive. And I just wanted to go in for something like this, where it was simple for me to play. And yeah, this is one of these rare cases where the rook, yeah, he's behind the passed pawn, but it's the rook, it's my rook who's actually better positioned, because he can't move until the king comes all the way over here. And that's a lot of time. I think it's winning from here. Does it like rook here? Yeah, I figured it'd be like one of these squares. I wasn't sure, should I come here or here? But, yeah, I think I could come all the way back and it's still winning. Okay, maybe not. I'd have to give it a little bit of time to think, but yeah. Just going to a point where the king has to work a little bit, and that a position where the pawn can't just keep on pushing, you know, to all the way down to b7. So maybe in the end, a tiny bit of an important decision, playing rook there. And yeah, these pawns, as it turns out, is just they're too fast, and it's losing. But just one last note. This only helps speed up the creation of a passed pawn. Just like you would see in middle game positions where it's opposite sides castling. That's why they say don't move pawns in front of your king, because what do you want to do in opposite sides castle positions? You want to open lines towards the enemy king. Well, if you move pawns that are in front of your king, it's going to be that much easier for your opponent to initiate a pawn break, a pawn capture, and in this case, this was really helpful because h5 and then g5, I think I said it in the game as soon as h3 was played, that this is just going to help me out. If he's still here, it's going to take a little bit more time. I have to spend that many more tempi before I have connected pass pawns. So that hit really fast, and yeah, it's just game over from here. It wouldn't even be a race if it were to go further. I mean, as mentioned, I can always just sacrifice like this, but yeah, these guys are just super valuable. Okay, well, it's been a while for a 15-2 game. I enjoy playing these type. Hopefully you enjoy watching these kind of videos. Feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback in the comment section below. Hope you're having a great day, and I will catch you soon. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.